There you go.
Okay. You're ready.
You're hot.
All right. Okay. So yeah, my name's Brandon. I'm one of the organizers. Blake is the other one in the meeting with us. We're probably the two guys I feel like that handle most of the things that go on with the Louisiana stuff. We have a few other people who have popped in and, offered to be organizers and help out here and there. So we're still kind of getting a feel for a lot of this stuff. And yeah, so I guess since you guys are new coming into this, my personal experience here, I got involved big with the Libertarian Party almost years ago now, and it was largely because of the Mises Caucus. I heard about them on Tom Woods and Part of the Problem with Dave Smith, all that, and it really brought me in, and I got as heavily involved with those as I could, and I try to spend as much extra time as I can doing what I can to help out. I don't know, Blake, if you feel like or intro about yourself.
Oh yeah, I mean, I kind of just got into the Mises Caucus, like really more active, probably not even half a year yet. So, I became a donor like a year ago, so I'm kind of just pumped doing this thing, and kind of looking forward to like the state convention coming up, and I guess it's next year, and really just taking over this whole party because the messaging sucks, and we really want to get this stuff out there,
Yeah, definitely.
Especially having stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, so I mean, that's definitely one of the big things that got me involved. I've been around kind of in and out of the Libertarian Party since, I don't know, 2009, 2010. And the messaging would bring me in sometimes, then turn me off others. And then once I heard about the Mises Caucus, I was like, all right, these guys really seem to have it together. And I like the messaging coming out. And it's what really rallied me to this. So, because yeah, the messaging from the LP generally sucks. Although I will give them props. Recently, the Twitter and Facebook pages have stepped up quite a bit, and the messaging seems to have changed gears, and it has gotten significantly better. So I don't know if somebody else got in there, what happened, but it has improved some. And I know that's for the Mises Caucus, one of our big things obviously is decentralization, and there's a big focus on local legislation, local candidates, doing work just as local as possible. So, and for you guys just coming in, there's a lot of support that we're looking to offer for candidates running from, city council, city treasurers, any of that kind of stuff, the low level offices where we can really grab hold and build a real infrastructure to change things. And on that, one of the biggest things we are pushing right now is, and I know I've talked to you about this too, Ryan, is registering for the national party and the state party. The more registered national party members we have, the more delegates we get to select the presidential candidates, which is and isn't a big deal. It's a big deal for messaging. It's not a big deal in the fact that we know they're not going to win the election. But as far as messaging goes, it's super important. And I'm sure you guys have probably heard there's a strong rumor Dave Smith is going to be up for pick for the presidential spot. So us getting as many delegates in place as possible is super important. And we'd like to really do a 180 from the Jorgensen campaign messaging and have somebody out there who really shoots straight, gives the real libertarian message without being afraid of it might upset somebody. And I don't know if you guys have seen the latest episode of Rogan with Dave on there, but man, he absolutely killed it. He was just, it was like his presidential setup had already started. He was doing a great job messaging, really, just for lack of better way of saying it, just cut the shit and got straight to the good messaging, solid libertarian messaging. And it was really great. But yeah, that's really key, is getting as many people registered with the national party as possible. Last national convention in Orlando, I want to say we had 12 delegates. And what they do is one delegate is allotted per parish if they have a libertarian committee formed there. So like I'm in Caucus, and we have a executive committee formed here. You have to have at least 3 people to do that. Once you do that, you're automatically allotted 1 delegate. If there are extra delegate slots for parishes that haven't formed a committee, then what happens there is it's just kind of a random pick, and that's assigned at the state convention. So people will be nominated and voted in that way after that.
Yeah, not only that,
And
but you have to be registered under the state party in order to attend the state convention, correct?
yes, you do.
Okay.
So having more of us there at the state party too allows us more chances to vote our members in place for those delegate slots that are extra. Because I'll tell you, it was probably about 40-60 at the Orlando convention, Mises people or Mises friendly people versus people who were very against us. So the more people we can have in there, the better. We have a few like diehard anti-Mises people that are kind of a part of the state or some of their parish committees who, caused a little bit of a tiff over some of the Mises stuff going on at the convention.
Have either of y'all dealt with the Orleans Parish people? Because I've reached out and they seem to be pretty inactive. They had a meeting in January and they don't know when the next meeting is, and they don't really answer messages very promptly. Just kind of, doesn't seem like there's a whole lot going on there.
I have not. We have. I want to say 2 of our organizers are in that area. I know Ashton Jackson is, and I want to say maybe our newest one, Rachel, might also be there.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious if they're Mises friendly, because I'm gonna try to get involved.
Yeah, I really don't know the whole situation. If there was anybody that was going to be anti-Mises, I would say that's probably one of the areas, but I'm really not sure, because there's a lot of people that were pushing for a lot of stuff during the Jorgensen campaign that I really didn't care for, and we fought against them in Caucus, because they had one time they were stopping in Louisiana. It was going to be in New Orleans, and they just wanted to start protesting and starting a whole bunch of stuff that we didn't feel would have been a good message to send at the time. So we kind of fought them on that for a while, and I think they called off most of it. But other than that, I don't know a whole lot about the Orleans Parish area. But getting back onto that, yeah, I mean, I'll see if I can get in contact with anybody who might know somebody over there. I'm trying to think if I know anybody off the top of my head.
That's
I
all
don't
right.
know, but I'll see.
I'm just kind of curious, and eventually they'll have another meeting, and I'll show up and pester them to get.
Yeah. I mean, persistence is the best thing, and a lot of those people, it's all volunteer positions. So we have a lot of times where they are gung ho about getting in the position, and then they don't want to spend the time and the energy to really keep it up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you'll have that happen where sometimes it can be difficult to get in touch with people. But I will check in, see if I can find out any information. Maybe if I can figure out who the chair is, I might know how to get in contact with them. Cool. I know they had a lot, your area had a lot more strict lockdown stuff than most of the rest of the state.
Yeah, pretty much the only place still wearing masks. I was in Lake Charles yesterday for work. No masks in Lake Charles. Then I come back here and masks everywhere.
Yeah, even during the mask mandates, it was about 50-50 whether people wore masks here. Because I'm in Lake Charles, so yeah, it was pretty split. a lot of people were just like, whatever, we're not, especially after the hurricanes hit here, they were like, you know what, nobody has time for this crap. We're not worrying about the masks.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but yeah, those local committees are super important for us to try to get people into, and form. Lafayette just formed their committee, which strangely they didn't have one at all. So that's another thing I want to help push in our area is getting the parish committees going and getting our people in there. That gives us more leverage too. And there are some state committee positions I'd like to get our people in, especially the media position. And I'm not the only person who feels this way too. It's not just us Mises people who don't like our state media guy. But let me rephrase it. He's a nice dude, but his messaging is very, very left leaning. He was very on board with the Jorgensen campaign messaging, and there are a lot of people that are really unhappy with it. And he's not combative about it, but he kind of stands his ground and doesn't want to change it up very much. So I'm on one of the committees trying to help push to sort of guide the messaging in a better area, but it's kind of hard when the head person is, you know, not so much about giving the direct libertarian message. They're worried about commenting on racism constantly and sex work. That's pretty much the primary topics, which, you know, I have no problem with sex work, but I also don't think we should be parading around and promoting it like it's, you know, the greatest thing. Like, just, I feel like that's just one of those topics to stay neutral on. Obviously, we agree it's fine, but we don't need to go around, you know, parading about it at the same time, because that also turns off a lot of people that we could bring on board.
Yeah, especially.
And I feel like that's. Oh, go ahead, Blake.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, especially like when we have these issues like with the vaccine passports and stuff like that right now. And I sent a link to Brandon earlier about Edwards putting the vaccine documents with the driver's license thing on the phone app. And
yeah,
you know, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, you know, that's kind of setting up for some type of vaccine passport type thing.
Well,
yeah, man, he is.
Comment on the sex thing. I think the proper libertarian view is that it should be legalized, but we don't have to favor it. We can even oppose it.
Yeah, and that's
right.
We can say, I don't go to prostitutes. I wouldn't want my wife to go to a prostitute. I wouldn't want my daughter to be a prostitute. But if they were, they shouldn't go to jail. That's I think that's
Absolutely.
the proper view.
Correct.
That shouldn't be topic number one with all this COVID madness.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what trips me up with the media guy for the state, is just that's the kind of stuff he focuses on. It's like out of topic, just it's not irrelevant, but you know, it's not topical. It's not something that we should be hitting hard right now. It's kind of, you know, you're losing an important moment where, you know, all this crap is happening, where we have, you know, tyrannical government, and, you know, they're commenting about stuff like that. It's kind of like the people that go on talk shows and they're supposed to be representing libertarianism, and they argue about licensing to cut hair.
Right.
You know, it's like, yeah, that's a legitimate gripe, and we agree that that's stupid, but why not hit on some real issues that, you know, are going to attract people? Don't be afraid. Don't tiptoe around and just hint at these kind of issues that, you know, come out and, you know, state that we're anti-war, we're for, you know, laissez-faire capitalism. So, and that's just the kind of messaging, and it's bland, it's uninteresting, it's uninspiring. I don't know. It just, I feel like it loses people that would be a benefit to us. I have no problem with turning off people who may have an authoritarian streak, but you know, when you're turning off people who could be a great part of the party, that's when the messaging starts to really bother me.
Mm-hmm. I've got a big group of friends in New Orleans, and a big group of friends that I graduated LSU with, who are all libertarian leaning, and none of them have ever got involved with the party because the messaging's terrible and it needs a lot of work, as we all know.
Right.
But I feel like it's a sleeping giant if we get somebody with good messaging in there and can wake some people up. There's a lot of people who may come over, who are just kind of, you know, like me. I didn't come over for years and years and years. I didn't see any reason to. until now. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there, I think, who are just, need to be kind of lured in with the right messaging.
Yeah. So I think the more people we can recruit and take over the state convention, the more we'll have control over the messaging, even in Louisiana. But then even the national party for sure. But
I wanted to say that the reason I'm interested in the Mises Caucus, anything that Tom Woods is involved in, I favor. I don't care if he's in favor of pushing peanuts with your nose. I favor anything he does. I mean, I'm a big fan of Tom Woods. The other thing that really ticks me off about the mainstream LP, if I can use that word, they keep attacking Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why on bloody blue blazes would a libertarian attack Ron Paul? I mean, Ron Paul is, I don't even like to call him Dr. Ron Paul or Congressman Ron. I'd call him Saint Ron Paul. I mean, he is just magnificent. And you don't have to agree with him on everything. I don't agree with him on everything, but he's magnificent. And it's sort of like a litmus test. I mean, if you're attacking Ron Paul, you have to wonder, are you a libertarian at all? So those are the main two reasons I'm interested in the Mises Caucus. I'm not really that involved about the messaging, and I don't know. I agree with you. I mean, haircutting is, we think people should haircut, whatever. It's not the most crucial issue. And certainly I agree with you on the sex thing. You don't want to put that front and center. I mean, if people ask about it, well, you honestly say what the view is.
Yeah, definitely agree on that.
Yeah, and it seems like in the media, I think probably this year, it seems like the issue other than the passports will be climate change, the minimum wage going up, and inflation and stuff like that. I think we're going to see more and more of that this year. So I think those are going to be the topics.
Taxes would be another good one. I mean,
taxes, that too.
Biden is going berserk.
That global tax thingy and the corporate taxes and stuff like that.
Peter Schiff has been right. Been listening to Peter Schiff. Everything he's saying is happening.
Yep. Hey, Peter Schiff's he's a great resource. He's a little black pilled, and sometimes it kind of bums me out listening to him after a while. And I'm like, oh man, I need somebody to pick me back up after listening to him. It's too much real world shit at once.
That's the truth.
But that's why I love Michael Malice. He'll always give you the white pill on why you should be hopeful and
right.
Well, I tell you, I'm not that hopeful. As a university professor, we've been taken over by the cancel culture and the wokesters and the snowflakes and all. I'm not that optimistic. And I mean, the journalists are bad, the Hollywood is bad, the clergy is bad, everybody's bad. But it's sort of, even if we're not going to win, it's glorious to try to promote liberty. As Brandon said, we're not going to elect the next president, but that doesn't mean that we don't give our all to spread the message.
Yeah. Well, and then I think in the midst of all the chaos that's going to keep happening, somebody's going to have to look to somebody to kind of get back in position again, because no regular human being can handle the chaos.
Well, look, if we can get more votes than the difference between the two major parties, or if we can do what they did in Virginia, where I forget the guy for Senate, he got like 2%, and he made a what do you call it, a runoff where the Democrats won. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And
I know what you're talking about.
That puts us in the news, and that's what we want to do, is get the word liberty out there, and that's the way to do it, to get more votes than the difference between them. And sometimes the difference between them is 0.5%, and we usually get a 1.5% or 2%. So I mean, that's our practical goal.
Yeah, and I think one of the big things too, speaking of Michael Malice, he brought this up on a podcast a while back, is he said the job of third parties is to drive the narrative that goes on with the other two parties, is to force them in the direction of what we consider important. And you can look at that is actually happening. I mean, you do have a lot of right wingers who are looking at the police now, and they're like, okay, maybe these guys do have too much power. And you have right wingers coming out who are anti-war. And it's a nice thing to start seeing, you know, them like, okay, well, maybe I don't fall in the libertarian camp, but they do make some valid points on this. So why aren't we worried about this more?
Yeah, because I've had more people listen to me this year than any previous year about libertarians. Like they were more receptive.
I write op-eds all over the place, and one of my recent op-eds is advice to the police. And my advice to the police is become a libertarian. And when it's a victimless crime, sort of look the other way. When it's a murder or a rape, you know, then get in there and do your job. But, you know, why put prostitutes in jail? Why put people in jail for, I don't know, these other things that
drugs.
I'm sorry?
For drugs.
Yeah, drugs would be another one.
Mm-hmm.
Like Breonna Taylor was killed because of a drug bust. This guy in Staten Island was killed because of selling Lucy's. These single cigarettes instead of a whole pack.
Oh yeah.
You know, they would just sort of look the other way. They wouldn't get in as much trouble. And like the latest one is he shot this young black girl who was about to stab another young black girl. Well, that's fine. That's what the police should be doing, and that would make them more compatible with libertarianism. So if we can convert the cops, you know, that would be a nice thing.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. If we could do that and get people aware of jury nullification, we can make a big step forward for liberty as a whole. So I don't know if you guys know about jury nullification. It's where a jury can decide that a crime is basically irrelevant and decide that they don't want to, even if the person is guilty of the crime, if they decide the crime is, you know, kind of against the Constitution or anti-liberty, that they can still render a non-guilty verdict.
Okay.
And we could also mention that we're really not left or right. We're, you know, we're unique. I mean, we agree a little bit with the left on personal liberties, and we agree with a little bit on the right with economic liberties. I mean, you know, Bernie Sanders wants to raise the minimum wage to 15. What's the Republican response? Raise it to 10? I mean, you know, that's not liberty. So we have a unique perspective to offer people that's neither left nor right, neither Democrat nor Republican.
Yeah, wasn't that you that coined the term "the third leg on the stool"?
I might have. I don't remember that though.
Okay, because you know, I hear Dave Smith bring that up all the time, and I'm pretty sure he attributes that to you.
Well, he might be right, but I'm getting senile. I forget what I said. So. I write a lot and talk a lot, and I don't remember what I said, but I'll take
think
credit.
It's a great term.
It's really great. I'll take credit for it if somebody will give it to me.
All right, let's see. Where are we at on here? Okay, so yeah, we talked about the local committees. And the last thing I have written down on my agenda was something that I was kind of tossing around with Blake a while back, because what we might be looking at was those kind of parish positions we talked about. Then maybe having each parish, especially once we get more established, have each parish have people responsible for recruitment to the Mises Caucus, candidate recruitment, and legislative outreach in those areas. We haven't really, we just kind of brought it up and we're kicking around the idea. I don't know what the hell just happened with my lights. So that would be something we'd like to potentially look into doing in the future, helping keep more people involved, and it helps kind of lighten the load on us too. You know, we're not having to worry about eventually looking at legislation across the state. We can have everyone doing it at parish by parish level, and hopefully changing city and parish legislation and getting us candidates that will be good messengers for the party and recruiting more people in.
One good way to recruit people is to go to gun shows. And there you get people that are sort of leaning in our direction, certainly on the gun or the Second Amendment issue. And, you know, if they're leaning in our direction it's easier to convert them or to get them interested in us than if they're leaning away from us and we have to do a lot of work. Sort of like low hanging fruit kind of thing.
That's a good idea. I think Orleans Parish, there's people who we can recruit, but as far as getting legislative things, it's hopelessly progressive here, and everybody I vote for on the least terrible end of the spectrum, the most progressive people get elected here, and it's only getting worse. So I've tried to email city council and meet with them in person, and it's just a hopeless. I'm one of 5 or 10% of people who are pushing back on them. So it's
Man,
pretty bad.
that's Louisiana as a whole, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Like my area is, it's full of good old boys and people who've been in office or power for decades, and if you're not connected with them, they're not going to listen, and they want to make money off prosecuting crimes for drugs, and it's a tough area all over Louisiana for different reasons.
Yeah, Louisiana is so progressive and conservative at the same time. It's weird. It's really
it really is strange.
I don't know how to really ball it down in my head.
Yeah, you got those metropolitan areas that are more progressive, and then you have the rural areas where they're super conservative and
The pro
aren't interested in,
yeah.
So hopefully we can start getting more influence in a lot of these areas, though. I know it's going to be an uphill battle, but even if we just get the message out there and start getting some people thinking, that's what's crucial. I'm trying to think if there's like you have any topics you want to bring up or anything offhand?
I mean, are any of you interested in being delegates and stuff like that, or do you guys just want to contribute in other ways to the Mises Caucus and the party, I guess?
I mean, I'd be willing to jump in whatever way necessary.
Okay.
If my work schedule allows, going to Reno or whatever it is, I'll go to the state convention. I don't think that should be a problem.
Okay. Yeah, because I think what we'll kind of do is just make a list of everybody who. Well, we have a master list already, but kind of keep tabs on everybody who wants to be a delegate and kind of make everybody up to date as the convention rolls by. When is the state convention again? I forgot.
It just happened, so there should be another one next quarter. I think there's one every quarter. I'll have to look and see what the specific date is.
Okay.
But that's for just Louisiana State.
They don't do much. They don't make any of this stuff public. The website, there's nothing on the website. Nothing on the national website. Orleans Parish people are. It's hard to tell what's going on.
It is admittedly getting better. It still sucks, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was 2 years ago.
Good.
So it's easier to find information now, but it's still not as easy as it should be. We need good event calendars and all that with updated stuff. Now at least they have the local parish committee meetings on the state site, I believe, and they have a few other things that are listed there pretty regularly. But the state meetings, they never list those until like a month before.
I had another suggestion. There's this thing called the Pelican Institute. You guys familiar with that?
Yeah.
Every state has its own free market think tank, and the Pelican Institute is ours. So all the people there are libertarians. So that might be another low-hanging fruit to try to get some of those people involved.
That's a good idea.
I've just recently kind of gotten a little more involved. I sent them some money for something that it was a pretty good op-ed that they wrote about education. And I feel like they have kind of gotten more, they've put more, I guess, more op-ed, more material out there and more things that they're trying to do. I think they've hired more people. So that does seem like a good place to at least go start the conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
They're our buddies. Look, guys, I got to get off. But it was nice meeting you, and please keep me involved. And Ryan, I'm particularly interested in you since you live in New Orleans, and I do run seminars where you'll meet like-minded people. And so email me, and I've already got Blake's email. So I'm delighted to be part of this group, but I got to get off now.